Somebody tell me about a famous person who failed repeatedly before they succeeded. Any volunteers? Let me tell you a story. There was a young man born of common roots who in elementary school was held back a grade for lack of intellect. In high school, he was placed in the slow group, the lowest of the low. Tried to enter military academy. Failed the entrance exam, not once, but twice. When he tried to enter politics, he failed. And it wasn't until in the second attempt he was elected to a lower level post. And it wasn't until the age of 62 when he was elected Prime Minister of Great Britain that Winston Churchill finally achieved his life goal. In his autobiography, he was asked how he succeeded, in which he said, "I never, ever, ever give up. Never give up." This has always inspired me, and I thought it would be a nice way to connect to the lessons that you will learn today. You see, I believe that the impossible can become possible. So to connect to my story, you have to first go back to when I was 12 years old, in 1972. On a summer day, I was down in my parents' basement, playing pool, hanging out with a friend of mine, David. On that day, David pulled out a bottle of my parents' brandy. And he not dared me, he double dared me. You know, the story of the Christmas story. I took a drink. At that moment, two things happened. One, of course, I coughed and gagged. Secondly, I felt a sense of calm for the first time since I could remember. You see, calmness, confidence was not something that came easy to me during those days. Unlike the present time, children who were different, especially those that were classified as STEM, from a very young age, I was enthralled with science. When most kids my age were playing sports, I was looking through a microscope. I was classified as gifted before there was really a classification. I was different. And oftentimes during that time, being different from the eyes of the other kids is not a cool thing. So I was often targeted, bullied, and more than once was thrown around, heckled even. So that feeling that I experienced awakened inside me something I could not explain. In the months that followed, I would come back to my parents' bar. I would begin to sneak brandy, one can of beer. And within a couple of years, I was getting high and drinking, usually on a weekly basis. And on my 15th birthday, I decided I was going to go in to a neighborhood bar and drink. I won't forget that because I walked in, tried to pretend like I was older, had my leather coat and mullet, asked for a Budweiser. Yeah, how about those Packers? They suck, huh? They served me. And all that night, I sat and I drank myself into oblivion. But I felt accepted for the first time. Accepted by a bunch of people, many of whom were alcoholics. And thus began the pattern of drinking alone. After that, things took a bit of a darker turn for me. By the age of 15, I had left high school. I drifted from part-time job to part-time job. Sometimes getting fired because I was high on the job. Sometimes the drinking was so bad that I would wake up in a place I didn't know where I was. For a period of time, I would oftentimes find myself with people that were not really desirable. Drug addicts, drug dealers. Many of the kids that I associated with ended up dead or in jail. So my parents, at the age of 17, made the decision to sign me into the U.S. Navy. And it was there that I began to turn myself around. And when I returned as a 21-year-old, I lacked options. Didn't have a college, didn't have a high school diploma. Going to college was not even an option. So thus began my journey. And over the next 30 years, 25 years I guess it is, I was to achieve both successes and failures. But there was always something underneath, lies beneath, and that was that my best friend was alcohol. And it wasn't until at age 42 that I finally was able to change my life by applying 3 important principles that you will learn today.